If you went through your life only doing things when you felt motivated, you're basically gambling with your life. And if you're somebody who's already starting your day and you're not even sure when you're going to get up, go to work, and even train, you're already setting yourself at a disadvantage. Strong men create easy times. Easy time create weak men. Weak men create hard times. So in this video, I want to break down some of the most important principles that we use in the highest levels of the military and the special operations to stay physically sharp, mentally focused, and functional under stress. The first principle is one thing I learned working in Tier 1 environments is that most people will completely fall apart under pressure. And honestly, I don't even blame them, because nobody teaches you how to handle stress, discipline your mind, control your emotions, and push your body when life gets hard. In my world, if your mental state slipped, people got hurt. If your discipline faltered, people noticed immediately. And what I see now is a lot of men struggling with anxiety, lack of direction, bad habits, lack of confidence, no structure, and they think something's wrong with them. But most of the time, they're just mentally untrained. So in this video, I want to break down some of the most important principles that we use in the highest levels of the military and the special operations to stay physically sharp, mentally focused, and functional under stress, and how you can apply them to your life starting right now. The first principle is the difference between motivation and discipline. Most people are one decision away from changing everything. I spent years at the tip of the spear as a Tier 1 operator, and the one thing that separated the men who made it from the ones who didn't had nothing to do with talent. It was fitness, and not just physical fitness. The discipline, the clarity, the mental edge that comes from being locked in physically. And that transfers to every single area of your life. For a limited time, I'm offering a 30-minute one-on-one fitness consultation and audit. We will get on a call and I'll break down exactly what you need to be doing going forward. And not a cookie cutter program, but a custom strategy built for you that you can implement immediately. 30 minutes, $49.99. And you will walk away with a plan from someone who has operated and lived this at the highest levels. If you are serious about leveling up, click the link. Motivation is just an emotion and it's temporary. Discipline is consistency and it's a part of your identity. If you went through your life only doing things when you felt motivated, you're basically gambling with your life because your emotions are constantly going to change. And by waiting to whether you feel good about it or whether you want to do it, you will never get anything done. Discipline makes sure that you get everything done no matter what happens, whether you feel tired or you feel sick. And this relates to the military as well, because regardless of whether or not you feel good about it, you're still going. Nobody ever asked me before I went to motivate on a mission, do I feel motivated? No, because the requirement for that mission exists regardless of how I feel about it. So if you want to succeed at anything in your life, you have to understand that motivation means absolutely nothing. Discipline means everything. And it is the greatest form of self-love, because every time that you choose to do something hard, you are choosing on yourself. You are betting on yourself, and you will be rewarded down the road. I guarantee it, because you have to remember that your feelings may be unreliable, but your standards are not. The next principle is why structure eliminates anxiety. Because let's be honest, life is chaotic. Chaos breeds anxiety, but structure actually builds stability. And if you're somebody who's already starting your day and you're not even sure when you're going to get up, go to work, eat, sleep, and even train, you're already setting yourself at a disadvantage. You're building undue anxiety already within your day, because there's going to be times when you're going to need to wing it and things are going to happen that you didn't plan, and those are going to create anxiety. They're going to create mental hurdles. But the things that you already can control, there's no reason to already build anxiety into your day and into your life. And especially when it comes to things like discipline. So if you're a person who already knows when you're getting up, when you're eating, when you're going to work, when you're training, when you're to sleep, you're already ahead of the game, already ahead of the pack. And that's one of the reasons why you hear it so many times. If you want to start off your day right, start off with making your bed. And we deal with this and use these principles all the time in the military, especially in elite units like special operations and aviation, because we rely heavily on SOPs, TTPs, checklists, timelines, and you'll hear us say all the time, we have a PACE plan, which is our primary, our alternate, our contingency, and our emergency plans, whether it's for our exfil operations or how we even use our communications. Because the more things that you can plan for, the more chance of success you have when those things happen, because they're going to happen. Because most anxiety comes from uncertainty, indecision, and lack of direction. And an undisciplined life creates unnecessary anxiety. So when you're going to weather the chaos of life, having a structured day-to-day schedule will help you in dealing with everything that life can throw at you. Because remember what Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind and not outside events. The next principle is how elite units create mental resilience. Because mental resilience is not created through speeches, mantras, or motivational quotes. It's built through repeated exposure of hardships and high pressure situations, like sleep deprivation, long movements, cold exposure, stress shoots, time pressure, uncomfortable environments. The point is not for suffering's sake, it's to prove that you can operate under pressure and you can become comfortable being uncomfortable. And we have to implement this in the military because in order to build the most elite operators, we have to train in the highest controlled stress situations repeatedly. And that way, when real life stress happens in combat, that it feels more familiar and less overwhelming. Because you will never rise to the occasion, you will fall to your training. And as David Goggins would say, the only way to grow is to suffer. Next is the role that physical health plays in your overall mental health, because your mind is your greatest asset, but it also has the capability to be your greatest Achilles heel. Because one of the most overlooked tools in existence for improving your overall mental health is physical fitness. Because you're going to have bad days, you're going to be depressed, you're going to be stressed, you might even hit rock bottom. And one of the time-tested things that always works in improving your mental state is movement, is exercise, is physical fitness. Because when you move and you exercise, you regulate your stress hormones, you build self-confidence, you learn to overcome discomfort, and through earned effort and delayed gratification, you build self-reliance, not only on yourself, but also the confidence that comes with it as well. And having a strong and healthy body, not only does that build your physical resume, which is going to make you feel better, but the strength that you feel is just going to do great for your mental state. Because if you are a weak person, that only weakens your mental state. So next time you get into a mental rut, sometimes the answer is not more thinking. It's actually just moving and training. Because as Seneca told us, we actually suffer more than our imagination than we do in reality. Next is why most men do not have standards for themselves. Because most men have goals and wishes, but don't have standards. Standards are behaviors that you refuse to fall below a certain level, whether that's your own behavior or other people and how they behave around you and towards you. Your habits reveal your real standards, and those standards are reflected in your daily habits. Because most men negotiate with themselves too much. They create too much compromise, and weak standards create weak lives. Because a man who trains consistently despite everything that's going on has standards, and a man who trains only because it's convenient just has preferences. Because remember, strong men create easy times. Easy time create weak men. Weak men create hard times. And as Teddy Roosevelt once said, nothing worth having ever comes easy. And having standards is even more important in the military, especially in elite communities like special operations and aviations, because when we fail to meet the standards, people die. The next is the importance of routines and consistency, because consistency builds identity. Consistency is everything, because one hard work changes nothing, but working hard for years will change your entire life. Just like reading one book changes very little, but reading every single day will change how you think for the rest of your life. And how you build that consistency is through building routines that you are going to follow. And those small actions every single day are your repetitions. And you want to know why the most elite special operations and aviation units in the United States military are so good is because of the reps. Delta Force, they shoot every single day. ISA, they practice their intelligence disciplines in tradecraft every single day. If you want to be the best at anything, you have to outwork your opponent, your enemy. And you have to be able to do it every single day. Michael Phelps did not take a single day off from swimming in 5 years because he believed every day that he took off, it took him 2 days to get back to where he was. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is then not an act, but a habit. The next principle is stress inoculation and discomfort. If you never voluntarily experience discomfort, when life throws discomfort at you unexpectedly, it will destroy you. And I cannot stress this enough. Doing hard stuff and going through hard shit is what makes you a stronger person. Nobody woke up a strong person. If you ever meet anybody who is strong in character and resilience, it's because they've went through a ton of shit and they survived it. And there are so many ways that you can put yourself through discomfort, whether it's cold plunges, working out, fasting, having difficult conversations, public speaking, almost anything that makes you uncomfortable, do it. Because learning how to be comfortable while being uncomfortable is a skill that is learned through repetitions only. And by putting yourself through controlled discomfort often, you can teach yourself adaptability, emotional regulation, and confidence under stress. And that's why in the military, we try to put our candidates and our people through as much stressful, uncomfortable situations as we can, especially in the special operations community. Because stress inoculation allows operators to stay calm while others would normally panic. Because their nervous systems has experienced controlled versions of this chaos naturally. Because discomfort is where growth happens, and voluntary hardship builds involuntary resilience. And as Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances the action, and what stands in the way becomes the way. And the last principle is why confidence comes from competence, not affirmations. Real confidence is earned through evidence. You become better at shooting through thousands of repetitions. You become better at speaking through repeated exposure. You become confident in business in hard situations by solving problems repeatedly. Because affirmations without action creates delusion. Because nobody in elite units will trust confidence that's not backed by performance. And competence earns trust. You don't build confidence by shouting affirmations at the mirror. You build confidence by having an undeniable stack of proof you are who you say you are. So put your money where your mouth is. And as Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. At the end of the day, mental resilience is not something you are born with. It is trained. Discipline is trained. Confidence is trained. Composure under pressure is trained. Resilience is trained. The problem is most people spend years training their comfort instead of training their mind. They avoid discomfort, pressure, challenges, responsibility. And then life hits hard and they collapse under the stress. But you can change that. You don't need to become a superhuman overnight. Start small. Build your structure. Train your body. Build your habits. Keep promises to yourself. Put yourself through controlled discomfort and raise your standards. And stop waiting to feel ready. Because every day that you choose hard work over excuses, you make yourself that much harder to break. And over time, that changes everything. Not just your confidence, not just your body, but your entire life. Because strength is not built in comfort. It is built through resistance. And the beautiful thing is, every man has the ability to become stronger than he already is. But first, he has to stop avoiding the work.